Hello, and welcome to the Electronic Manual of Operative Surgery. So, we've built a cross-platform application that allows medical consultants who have over 50 years of experience in different types of surgery to help trainee surgeons learn the different procedures that they will have to perform in the operating theatre. Now, our client is from Papworth Hospital. For a bit of background, Papworth Hospital is one of the largest specialist cardiothoracic hospitals in Europe. That's basically heart and lung procedures, and includes the country's main heart and lung transplant centre. And our client came to us, and he said he wanted to actually give back to the community in all the years of experience that he's had in very specialist forms of surgery. Now, there are some main problems that exist for trainee surgeons who have had about 5 years in medical school and about 2 years in foundation medical college as well. They have a few problems in trying to learn for these types of complex surgery. First of all, the manuals that exist are very book-based and they're very paper-based, and they're not very mobile-focused. There isn't an application, for example, that allows trainee surgeons to learn on the go and walk around and actually, on their way to the operating theatre, actually read up on how to perform XYZ procedure. The other aspect of it that's quite a unique problem in all sort of e-learning applications is that they're not very tailored specifically to the hospital that they're in. Now, trainee surgeons move from hospital to hospital, from consultant to consultant when they're in foundation college. And what this means is that they may learn very specific type of procedures for one specific doctor, and then when they have to move and rotate to a different type of doctor, they obviously are seeing something very, very different. And we wanted Emos to be an application that could be tailored to very different types of hospitals and different types of doctors and cater for the different nuances that they have in the specific forms of performing, for example, cardiothoracic surgery or pediatric surgery. Now, I'm going to walk you through the actual, what Emos actually is. So it's essentially an e-manual, like I mentioned. There's three main sections. There's books. There's the book part of it, which allows, contains medical articles and step-by-step procedures on how to perform these things. We allow the ability for trainee surgeons to actually take notes, for example, on these medical articles. One of the things that was highlighted to us in our research was very important is that trainee surgeons essentially, need to actually perform their own interpretation of these type of procedures so that they can learn and perform and essentially have their own method of doing these types of procedures so that they can one day become consultants. We have bookmarks. We have a lot of other types of functionality which my team members will go through. The other aspect of it is that we use the bootstrap framework that means that our application is responsive, and this means that it can work on cross-platform and actually looks quite good. So that's the background of our application. I'm going to pass you up through to my colleague Tobias to walk you through the other aspects of the application.
Thank you very much. So what happens when a user actually wants to use Emos? Well, first of all, we would get to a page, the login page, which sounds familiar to many users. Now, if you're new to Emos, you probably don't have an account, so you would want to click on register. Now, if you ask me, I'm not the biggest fan of forms, so I would very much prefer to log on with Facebook because it gives me this extra convenience of not having to type my name, my email, and my password. So let's try that right now. So it opens up a pop-up and it says, voila, welcome Tobias. So the way we do this is we use the Facebook authentication API calls to get the information from Facebook and then with this information populate the user data. And we do that because we want to make it really, really convenient for the users of Emos and to thereby create a user experience that is not only very, very unique, but also very fun. So you would get here to the settings page and you would see that your user account is already populated with your first name, with your last name, and with your email. Now you could add, for instance, a mobile number if you like, or you could add your hospital. So let's say I at Papworth Hospital, and I click on Save. Profile information has updated successfully.
this is a really important part of our application because, as I mentioned, we wanted our application to have different hospital. A trainee surgeon can move to different types of hospitals and different consultants, and that's how we built the scalability into Emos.
Yeah, so our whole application has been built on different modules. So we really wanted to ensure that later on, when other groups will be working on this project, or when our client would like to add some functionalities, he could do so by just adding modules. So right now we have a module here called users, the users tab. So you see a bunch of fake users right now, but in a real setting, and once this application would go live, a medical consultant would actually see surgeons, trainee surgeons here, and could interact with them right away. So he could send them a private message or just communicate with them, or find contact information about those surgeons. What he could also do is he could go to the analytics tab and access statistics about their performances. So performance to help understand their learning behaviors better. Sample data, so it's not actually connected to a hospital or to any NHS. Hope that in the future, once this application goes live, that we can build an entire platform that serves to not only the need of the consultants, but also to the surgeons.
Yes, and another aspect of the analytics section is that NHS regulations have said that this type of application, this type of e-learning application, could actually be counted towards trainee surgeons' exams in their foundation college, and that's a very, very important thing. So this resource for consultants to actually be able to view how their trainee surgeons were reading up on notes and perhaps taking their own notes on procedures is something that really hasn't been done before. This type of transparency is something very new, and we're quite excited about that type of feature.
So when we're talking about learning, of course we built basically an e-learning platform to help surgeons to really get this new digital learning experience that you originally don't have in this field. So let's go and take you to the main section of the application, which is this home environment here. So in the home environment, you can see different chapters on the screen. Now, if I'm a consultant, I could click on Add Chapter, and I could say, this is a new chapter, and it would be automatically available throughout all the users of the system. So no matter if I'm using an Android device, an iOS device, it would be automatically available and accessible to those surgeons. That's because we use the Firebase database service, which provides for three-way data binding and allows us to really have this synchronous environment. So let's actually go and learn more about what we're interested in. So let's click here on cardiothoracic surgery and then go to adult cardiac surgery. Let's just navigate through all the different chapters that we have set up here. So you see it's already a very, very deep field. There's so much knowledge to observe. And we're just jumping right in there. So you see there's another chapter here, but there are also 4 different articles. So we could, of course, add an article that would be shared with all surgeons, but our main interest right now is, of course, to view an article. So I'm just going to click here and view this article. So you see here we are in the article environment. We also have a note environment where a trainee surgeon could potentially just, this is a note, he could just make some notes or remarks about the specific article. And then you could scroll down. And of course, the consultant could add pictures here or special videos to enhance the learning experience. But that's really up to the consultant and beyond our imagination.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically viewing an article. So let's pick a interesting term, maybe reglove and gown here. And let's go back. Now, a feature what I want to demonstrate to you guys is we actually have implemented a search functionality that not only searches within this current view based on the title, but it also searches the whole content of articles and chapters. So imagine we would have 100 different articles here. If I'm a trainee surgeon and I'm looking for a specific term that maybe my professor told me the other day in lecture and I forgot what it is, I would be able to type it in here and I would see 2 results. Now, it's 2 results because, quite frankly, we have a duplicate article here. But let's just go here to CABG and just verify that this result is true. So we actually see here in the text that Wiglov and Gaon is mentioned in here. So the search is working. So that's great. Mm-hmm. But let's dive deeper into other functionalities of the app. And my colleague Yinning will just give you a brief overview over the bookmarks now.
Okay, thank you, Tobias and Jove. I'm gonna firstly take you to bookmark. First, let's go back. For example, we want to bookmark this one. Probably this is Tobias' favorite.
It is.
See? Oh, previously added one. Okay, for example, I'm gonna use this opportunity to show you how to delete the bookmark, for example. See, if we just click the bin over there, you can just delete that. So it makes your list of bookmarks much more clean and clear. Now I'm gonna show you another function of our Emos, that is private notes. In this section, you can add notes. You just click that button. And maybe here we just say hi in title and say hello in our content. Actually, we got a really powerful editor. We can format it our words through this functionality here. But here I'm gonna show you how to insert picture.
Yeah, so the insertion of pictures and videos was something that was actually very beyond the scope of our original application, but we really wanted to build something that could be full functional and actually cater to the fact that a lot of these surgeries are very difficult to talk about in words, and sometimes a picture speaks more than text.
Indeed, yeah. And what is also really cool about this is you can not only use this on a desktop environment, but actually when you resize the window and you're viewing this on a mobile device, you would have a really mobile-friendly view that allows us to not be overwhelmed with buttons and icons.
Yep. So thank you, Tobias and Jove. I'm gonna show you the most excited one. We can add videos. For example, here, I chose Scrubs video.
Scrubs is one of our favorite programs because we've definitely learned about different types of surgery in this process.
Whores. Now, why don't I introduce myself like that? Because there is a time when you know the truth.
Okay. Bye-bye, Professor.
Dorians.
See, that's quite funny. If you get bored, you can add such a funny video inside of your notes. So let's save notes now. Maybe let's yeah, see. Oh, there's 2 hi hello. Yeah, that is the one I just added. Okay, now I'm gonna show you the help section. Basically, when you get lost in Emos, you can always get help from this section. We have already divided Emos into 3 sections, which is book, notes, and bookmarks. So when you get stuck, and for example, you forget how to add a bookmark, you can just always have a look at this section. Here I provided a detailed description on how to get into this functionality step by step.
Yeah, and I think one thing to highlight here is how clean and how crisp the colors are. Yeah. We're using the Google Material Design Framework, which works obviously very well on Android phones, and actually across the web. And it's a very interesting, brand new way of design that's flat and allows elements in your page to really stand out. And you can see this throughout our development of our designs, that we actually got to this stage after a long period of research and sketching and speaking to our users.
Actually, these designs get a quite good feedback from my colleagues.
Yeah.
So.
Great. So that's our application. I'm just going to quickly log out and show you what's next in Emos. So we had a great time building this application. We all learned different aspects of design. We learned things like Sketch from the design perspective. From the coding perspective, we actually built 2 versions of our app. In fact, I'm actually going to show you what we built before, which is, actually, Tobias, why don't you go on that? We actually built our first app in PHP and used the LAMP stack. And this is a very, very different type of application. But as you can see, we actually built this type of stuff and moved the whole of our application into. So there we go. So we actually built 2 apps. Maybe this one's better. But we actually so we built this application in PHP, and through our development process, we realized that Cordova doesn't compile very well with PHP because it's a jQuery JavaScript-based app. And so the app that we just took you through is built in AngularJS and Firebase, 2 very, very brand new languages, actually built by Google as well. So why don't you, Tobias, go back to the, so exactly all the functionality that was there, we rebuilt from the ground up. So again, very good learning experience for us.
Yeah.
And I think, hopefully this type of application is going to be a really, really valuable resource for having very detailed procedures and articles that haven't really been put out to the public yet, but allow hospitals to have showcase to their trainees very specific things on how to perform procedures and help them to learn. And I think we'll all agree that's a very important thing for our country and for our surgeons going forward. And the other aspect of things is that this application will allow. It's very scalable, and hopefully more hospitals will get on board, and more doctors will start to provide more articles. And
essentially, the whole idea behind this is to not only make this a great learning application, but to really make a digital platform for surgeons and medical professionals alike to really get the best digital experience.
Yes.
So we hope that in the near future you will find us on not only the Google Play Store but also on the App Store, and you actually get to try our app out yourself. In the meantime, you're very, very welcome to just head to emosurgery.com and make an account for yourself and try it out yourself.
Hopefully all the surgeons in the future can learn from it. As our client always says that we are all lifelong learners, so
we're always learning, and hopefully Emos will get us to that stage. Thanks very much. And we actually never introduced ourselves. So
yeah,
I'm Dhruv. Very little experience in programming, but I helped a lot with the design aspects and the back end, especially of the older part of the app in PHP.
No, my name is Tobias, and I think I can speak on behalf of everybody here. We didn't really have any coding experience in terms of web development before this project. I mean, we never really even touched HTML before, and now having touched so many languages, I'm very happy and to have learned and gained so much.
Yeah, I'm meaning actually just Tobias is our team leader, so I'm really happy to have such a experience with those 2 teammates. Then it's quite a good learning experiences, and I'm really, really appreciate that we can get this opportunity to make such an educational app to help all the medical industry. Probably, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye bye.